Jason used to work at Carr Construction, which is it's probably one of the biggest general contractors in the country. So that's his background. He decided to get a master's in MBA, commercial real estate, something like that. Okay. And went to work for Carr Development, which is one of the largest commercial developers in the area. They have some really neat projects, so he can kind of fill you in on the larger commercial side of things.
Real estate's such a broad industry that there's a lot of different niches within it, and so we have a lot of entrepreneurial folks, like effectively one-man bands, and then I'm currently on the other side of the spectrum in the commercial market for a bigger institution, and one day I want to be entrepreneurial too, but on those bigger projects, it just takes money, right? And a single person can't really put that together, especially not in the first third of their career, really. So I think we're trying to possibly go to the same place, but interestingly on two different paths, right? You're starting on your own, doing smaller single-family homes, and then maybe you'll roll that into bigger and bigger projects. And I'm taking the other path, which is to work for a bigger company, executing larger projects, and then eventually building up enough, hopefully a positive enough reputation that I can go out and do larger projects with the professional connections that I'm trying to mature, at this stage in my career. So, I personally came into the industry through the bricks and mortar side of the business, which is fairly intuitive, right? I mean, engineering and construction have maybe a film background or a liberal arts background, but they're just people persons, and they can just connect with the guy that owns the vacant warehouse on the corner of the street that it feels intimidated by random sellers giving him a call, but then finds that he can make a connection with this individual. Or during the course of a typical day, it's just amazing how many different skills I might try to leverage, and you'd never believe that I'm actually acting in this singular role. I mean, at 8 or 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, I might be out on a construction site with a plumber, trying to figure out what's going on with this vanity at one of our apartments, and then in the afternoon I'm doing numbers with these bankers, and it's just really opens an opportunity for people that want to get into the industry, because there's so many specific skills that you can bring to the table that the organization where you may end up working can definitely utilize. I find that and I did want to mention this idea of a lot of larger companies that are vertically integrated, because what that basically means is that a single firm may go out and acquire a property or land in some cases, develop it or reposition it, and then they have to asset manage it, both at a corporate level but also on the property level. There's leasing that goes into it, obviously marketing, and then back in the office there's a lot of reporting and a lot of people that work with the banks and so forth and so on. And my only point here is that there's just a lot of different roles that need to be filled in any one of these companies, and and what it makes for is a very diverse workforce. So maybe you're not really, maybe you're interested in real estate, but you don't really have the engineering construction background. Well, that's fine, because people make and lose the most money through sales and leasing, and that's a completely different skill set. But then marketing is terribly important when tenants have a lot of different choices in the market, and you're able to take the brand that you're working for and promote it in the best possible light. So that might be something that engages you on an individual level.
Hey, Jason.
Yeah, go ahead,
When
Jody.
you talk about repositioning, what goes into that? Like, how do you reposition a building?
Yeah, sure. That's a good question. Well, there's You know, the easiest way to really explain this is that if you go out and buy a CVS, which CVS doesn't own the building that they're in, most likely. There's a landlord who rents it to CVS for like 50 years, and that's basically the end of that landowner's real estate experience. But there's not a lot of value to be created in that because it's all manifested itself through, you know, the lease with CVS. So a lot of people try to make money through repositioning properties, which is to, and you know, it's actually, I consider, you know, flipping townhomes repositioning, because you're buying a property that's undervalued, and you're putting money into it, and you're obviously creating more value than you're spending, and that's basically your profit margin when you go off and rent that home or sell it ultimately. And that same investment thesis works on a commercial level. So the company I work for, will go out and buy a vacant building, and we'll just make a bet on that we have better leasing people and we have better marketing than the person that couldn't lease it and now has to sell it. And that's kind of a repositioning, really. There's also obviously physical repositionings, which involve mostly renovations to the property to kind of give them a little bit of a facelift, and hopefully they perform better for you moving forward. So repositioning is really a popular buzzword right now, only because there's so many people that have the desire to get into the market that you really have to be creative in taking the shots and making the bets that you want to place. And repositioning's how you, as an individual, can differentiate yourself and do better than, you know, the rest of the market. And you know, that takes some creativity, which is another really important skill that I failed to mention before.